Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be.
Yes, all of those, happy day to you.
And we want to thank our newest Patreons.
Definitely, we want to send out a huge thank you to Miss Elise and Miss Jill. You guys really help keep us going. Thank you.
Absolutely, and at least several times during the week, we'll do Patreon-only material, deep dives into a variety of different topics, often ones that can't be spoken of too openly on YT. We are on Rumble, Brighteon, and Bitchute as well, but everything goes up on Patreon. So there is no denying the reality of do. That's just a given. As you see this article from last July, DARPA to develop new technology to protect the troops from do, because now the way things are going in this world with this new weaponry that's being utilized for the first time out in the open, which again the guides had said that this whole war period is going to be about the introduction of new, really for many people, mind-blowing technology that is taking things to a completely different level. And we're seeing it. And here is the reality. DARPA, again, Defense Advanced Research Project Agency. And they always mislabel everything because so far, to my knowledge, again, defense or offense? Let's be real about this. But this is the system. It's upside down. It's inside out. So, it's a reality, and they're developing ways to protect troops on the field. And again, you don't even have to be on the field. You could be anywhere. And they can hit you with these different energy weapons, directed energy weapons. Can they be mounted on planes? Absolutely. Helicopters, yes. Tanks, yes. Other vehicles, yes. Can they be shot from satellites? Yes. Again, there's jets at very high altitude that you would never ever see. Yes, and more options that we probably don't even know of. Again, this is just a simple reality. And the reality is, again, these things have been in play much longer than people want to realize. In the middle of a charred landscape, cows eat fresh hay. A major concern of the Texas Panhandle is food supply for cattle now. 80 to 100% was burned. So this is a massive area where the cows feed. There's going to be no food for the cows. So what are they going to do? They'll end up slaughtering them, and then later on down the line, there's going to be massive shortages. And this is exactly what the system wants. And again, they tell us how a warming climate is setting the stage for fast-spreading destructive wildfires. You know what? I was looking at some surveys, and it doesn't seem like hardly anybody believes in the whole climate change thing. That really went over like a big turd. In church. Nonetheless. Meanwhile, we still have fires all over the place. Often they're at manufacturing facilities. Yes, some of these probably are just accidents of a kind, as well as, some are just plain simple, accidents that do happen. But there's also this bigger program underway to kind of change things. This is an airborne directed energy weapon. And this is an old video from the History Channel. I mean, this is old. In fact, they were talking about this over 20 years ago. So, it is a reality. And they're talking about how they have to put some tungsten steel up there to mount the laser to. And, again, 40,000 feet. Then, remember, we've seen these green lights. Oh, who's shining these bright green lasers? You got a little context box. So it's the system, again, and this is Elon's Twitter, by the way. It's the system trying to let you know these are just LiDAR planes. They're aerial survey planes performing what is known as bathymetric scans. Oh, okay, that's okay, right? That's what they want you to say. Oh, it's okay. Don't worry, never fear. Yet, look a little deeper. The planes belong to a company called Randigo LLC. Now, this is Florida, by the way, too. And Florida is a place that, again, I probably would be if it wasn't for the guides saying don't stay in Florida. And I don't want to panic everybody in Florida. But again, in this time frame, there's multiple things going on. For one, they are pushing people out of certain areas. They are paving the way for very, very smart cellular cities. They are also paving the way for the new controllers to come in, the open control of the PCC, if you know what I mean. And Florida is one of the main invasion routes, as is obviously the northern and southern borders. Anywhere along the borders, anywhere along the coast. This is when we ask the guides, well, why can't we go a little closer to the coast when we're looking for a place? Because we wanted to get into zone like 9 or even 9B for growing stuff all year round. And they said, there's going to be massive movements of people away from coastlines due to, the war and also inundations and floods and things along those lines, which may be very well caused by the war. So they said it's not going to be good. It's not going to be safe by the coastline. So then we asked, where is the best place to go if we are not to leave the U.S.? And they simply said towards the middle. And so they just left it at that, towards the middle. So again, in these times, as much as we want to root and say, okay, this is it, we're not leaving here for 30 years. Yeah, we might have to do what many people around the globe have been forced to do. What are they being forced to do? They're being forced to migrate, because this is part of the big reveal. This is what the system does. The system lights a fire under people's butts, blows that fire in a certain direction so that the people will move in a certain direction. And that's what's going on a global scale right now. So everybody in Florida, as this says, keep an eye on Florida. And concerned citizen, he puts out pretty decent info. He's over on X. There's so many. I think I'm subscribed to like 5,000 on X. And yet it's hard to work through all these things. This is a real deep dive chain that a lot of people have put a lot of time into. And we're going to go over some of the details of this.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. As soon as I saw those green lights, it's like we all kind of know what's going on from the past. So if you want to figure out what's going on in the future, just look to the past. And the idea that, this is Elon's, and he's putting out words of basically telling people, oh, calm down, don't worry, this is not a problem, when he's being painted as some type of messiah and someone who's to be trusted. I think, we have a lot of lessons to learn. We just simply cannot trust. I wouldn't. I mean, I would, if that were me and somebody was scanning my home, I would find that to be such an invasion of privacy. I would be on the phone. I would be really, just really taking some people to down and telling them what I think. I would not tolerate this crap. It's horrible that people have to tolerate this. That it's just so invasive. What gives them the right? Who signed them up to take a map of my property? No one. To me, that's just give me all of that data and let me personally destroy it. That's kind of how I feel about that.
As much as we disagree from a philosophical standpoint with Monkey Works, he does cover a lot of the movement of military planes better than probably anybody on YouTube that I know of. And he always watches these survey planes because, obviously we should be suspicious of everything. And we should be very suspicious when they give us these little tags. And I understand that every time we rate them as unhelpful, which I just can't help but do. They just ignore it, obviously. So here you have it. Randigo LLC. Who is this? Because this was Cape Coral, Florida. This is West Coast, Cape Coral, Florida. But not the only place, as these flights have been used all over the place, and again, especially along coastal areas. And we find out that these are being controlled by the DoD contractors. Now, a contractor doesn't, technically, it's not owned by the DoD per se, but they're contracted, and this is how you get around these things. And so many companies are really just shell companies, in reality. As you see here, this person's connecting the wildfires to these ops. Yeah, they own a whole bunch of these, rather small, insignificant looking airplanes, but it's what comes later. And as you see here, Revolution Flight LLC, founded in 2006, began as a small operation supplying 2 single-engine Cessna aircraft to the skydiving industry, has grown into a diverse operation with more than 30 aircraft operating around the world. Our current business specializes in supporting markets such as airborne data collection, survey and mapping, research development, flight training, etc., etc. Avionics installation. Okay. Interesting. And again, what happens is little companies can get bought out. Little companies can be started with one purpose, and then they become something that could be utilized by the system, so the system gobbles them up. They do this all the time. Yet they could look back and say, oh, well, this business was started by this person and that person. They have this background, but then now it's a big corporate monster. And this is what they do time and time again. However, as you see, Paul Rousseau, I guess, how would you say that? Rousseau was trained. This is, again, one of the people, one of the owners here. 2 companies go by Randigo. And Paul Rousseau, I guess you would say, is somebody that was actually trained in the British Army under reconnaissance. And once you're in the military, you're always kind of in the military, even if you get out, because again, you got to question everything that's in the that they get, and they get dozens and dozens. And a lot of those could have nanu, and we're not talking about work from orc there. I know you guys get it. Don't forget, Chinese lasers spotted over Hawaii. All this happened, and then again, we got that whole Maui incident. There'll be context that comes out. Oh, they have nothing to do with each other. Yeah, sure. Sure. Again, green beams. People notice over Hawaii, and then you have the fires. But, don't worry. Fact checkers say it's just a coincidence. Fact checkers are on the payroll. That's the bottom line. We don't trust you. We'll never trust you again. That's the bottom line. As you look over here, and then we were talking about Texas, we see the same things. And we see the same things, too. We see some structures totally burnt to the ground and other ones standing. And, of course, there's that thing about painting your roof blue.
Mm-hmm. Painting your roof blue, painting you blue, painting everything blue, blue helmets. It just goes on and on. But I'm just wondering what is going to be the critical mass. What is it going to take when people all kind of turn and create this energetic wall toward the system and say, we're not going to do it. And then by the time we do, is it going to be in time? That's the thing, because we really are up against a monster. We're up against a system that already has these weapons that if just somebody stands up and complains, they just hit a little button and the laser just takes them out. But if we all do it, they can't take us all out, because they still need us. They still need us to maneuver what they're trying to do. I don't think we're too far from critical mass where people are going to stand up and say, hey, I think this is a load of crap. I'm not going to tolerate it anymore. And really, those homeowners, anybody who has green lasers over their house, I find that is such the biggest invasion of privacy. I mean, the biggest. I mean, people put up privacy fences for a reason, not so that some jerk can go and fly over your house and get every little inch of your backyard and see everything that's in it.
Yeah. Well, think about this again, though. I saw a video where they were showing people being pat down going through the airports or stepping into machines that take your clothes off for, so you have your privacy invaded that way. But if you're openly illegal, it's fine to come straight across the border. Nobody's going to even pat you down. Nobody's going to put you through a scanning machine, but then legal citizens get scanned. So this shows you that everything that you see has always really been a bunch of lies. It's always been a bunch of lies. And they want us to think of like Neanderthals and Denisovans as cavemen, and like we're dumb and stupid. And, those beings were dumb and stupid. And yes, some of us were those beings inhabiting those bodies, which actually those bodies were more capable than these bodies. This is the bottom line. Yeah, don't forget the UK openly showed, they achieved a first with lasers. And don't forget, over in Israel, we've seen lasers be used to take out different rockets. And we know the US and China and Russia can all have lasers. Now, maybe when you look at the biblical stories, you could easily see this for Revelation. Again, Revelation 13:13. He did astonishing miracles, even making fire flash down to the earth from the sky while everybody was watching. Well, they must be talking about Elon, or somebody Elon's going to introduce. Yeah, perform great signs. Yeah, so we're talking about the two beasts, and I do think Elon could fit into the false prophet side of things, introducing the Anunnaki or one of the Anunnaki as the the one that you would call the Antichrist. And again, you're given that it's a human number, but then who is the father of humanity? Those that came from the sky, right? The Anunnaki, according to so many of the stories that we see from Sumeria and Akkadia, Babylonia. Yeah, and again, that's a big word, and that just basically, talks about beings coming from above and coming down to earth. But if, that is, again, the XY parent, and, the XX was the females that were already here. There you go. And we'll talk about that stuff in other videos coming up. And we have touched on it before. When Solomon finished praying, fire came down from the sky and burnt up the burnt offerings and the sacrifices. Now, you probably get visions of lightning coming down. It was a storm. It was a coincidence, or it didn't really even happen, and they just wanted to make it look like the lightning came from the sky. But what if it wasn't lightning? What if it was a little bit of a morning dew event coming down from the sky? Think about how they treat us. They think that we are just dumb, ignorant savages. They just use their technology and they get worshipped. Absolutely. In fact, 17 Bible verses about fire from heaven. Moses stretched out his staff towards the sky, and the Lord sent thunder and hail, and fire ran down to the earth. And the Lord rained hail on the land of Egypt. Now again, you could go to this and switch over and look at the names of God, which I haven't done. And, either you'll probably see either Elohim or Yahweh, again, being the word that's used. Because, again, they always just make it the Lord, a generic, or God. And in reality, there were different words in Hebrew used often throughout the Bible that are all lumped into one category because they want to hide up the multiplicity of the beings that they're talking about. So you see it time and time again. Now the people became like those who complain of adversity in the hearing of the Lord. And when the Lord heard it, his anger was kindled, and the fire of the Lord burned among them and consumed some of the outskirts of the camp. This is directed energy weapons. This is what this is. And they think we're ignorant savages. This is what they bank on. Yeah, so the name of that place was called Taberah, because the fire of the Lord burned among them. And then the fire came out before the Lord and consumed the burnt offerings again. And the angel of the Lord put out the end of his staff that was in his hand, touched the meat and the unleavened bread, and the fire sprang up from the rock and consumed the meat and the unleavened bread. Then the angel of the Lord vanished from his sight. I mean, these are extraterrestrials having,
a party.
Yeah, they're giggling about it. Yes. They're giggling about how stupid the humans are.
That's exactly what I see when we read through these scriptures. It's like these are aliens, these are other types of entities. And yeah, they're really truly enjoying themselves, because the humans are, at that time did not know about these technologies and are struggling and doing their very, very best to put it on paper, what they saw, trying to understand. And I got to tell you, as a channel, that's probably the most frustrating thing. When you get information that you cannot explain, you're kind of grasping at the world and the education that you've been given to describe these things. And then there's other entities that laugh and giggle and think that's funny. And I can understand, there's like a parent watching a child learn some things which could be enduring, and it's cute and it's adorable. But then you have these really evil monsters doing things to humans that humans just don't understand. And that's more of the evil side of things. They think it's funny to watch the dumb humans struggle. And this is the Bible that we're given. This is the belief system that we are told to cherish and worship. And if somebody else doesn't cherish and worship it too, well, they've got to be ousted from your camp. These are those beings. These are them. And they're still here today. They're doing the same thing they're doing. And now we have a comparison.
Yeah, absolutely. As you can see, Elijah replied to the captain of the 50, "If I am a man of God, let fire come down from heaven and consume you and your 50. And the fire came down from heaven and consumed them. So, again, these dues have been used for a very, very long time. They're not dues that were created by humans per se. They're not created by Homo sapiens. No, they are created again by the draconian Anunnaki and the Qigon secret society complex, of which the humans are the bottom of the totem pole. They're Homo sapiens, because again, these are hominid beings. These are absolutely very human looking beings, for at least some of them more reptilian, and others hard to describe.
Yeah, there's others very hard to describe. And they have different technologies too. And when you realize that they work for your very own government, and they can share these technologies with your government, and your government's completely silent, and they're treating it as if, there's nothing to see here. Nope, nothing to see here. We're not doing anything wrong. I mean, gosh, how long can you carry that story before everyone, and I mean everyone, just says, stop. It's been fun. It's been great. It's been a great play, but we are done believing you. Unfortunately, the reality of it is still so many people are in the system, and they utilize the system for their day-to-day, doing whatever they need to do. And unless something major happens in their lives and it's brought to their attention, they're just not going to pop their head up out of the hole. So we're kind of doing this together with one another as best as we can. We know the truth. Once you know the truth, you can't turn back. There's no way you can try, but I've never found it to be successful to just ignore what I know and try to move on like it never happened. That doesn't work. We have a lot more people we need to bring on board to bring understanding and some type of intolerant energetic wall that we're not going to play their games anymore.
Absolutely. So, let them thunder and blow, and we will try to stay on course as best as possible, because, again, there is a creator of this universe, and that creator is a very, very benevolent, loving being. And sometimes they let little things get through, as we've mentioned so many times, when Jesus is accosted by the Pharisees and Sadducees, which are the authorities of that time religiously. I can see that actually happening, and I can see him calling them, Satan, get behind me, because you serve the adversary. You don't serve, the creator of this universe. And the creator of this universe is not that jealous, vindictive God. The Gnostics knew this, and the Gnostics were boiled alive and skinned alive and burned alive and drawn and quartered and totally, basically they had to go either hide in caves. They had to just stay way outside the system, because the system would just eradicate them, because they knew the truth. And again, so do we now. More people every single day. So again, thank you for your support. Please do share these videos as much as possible. Keep working on waking up the planet. Stay safe. Namaste.
Namaste.